All right, today we are digging into a pretty startling warning that came from the CEO of one of the world's most powerful AI companies. We're going to break down exactly how AI is reshaping the economy, the future of work, and, well, look at the data that suggests this huge change is already happening right now. So, this is it. This is the core prediction. Just let that sink in for a second. We're not talking about some small adjustment. This is a potential seismic shift in the entire job market, and it's on a timeline that is frankly unbelievably short.
And this is the crucial part, right? Where this warning is actually coming from. This isn't some doomsday blogger trying to sell you a book. This is from Dario Amodei. He's the CEO of Anthropic, the company that built the AI model Claude. So he has a front row seat. He sees what this technology can do every single day. And believe me, this wasn't just some off-the-cuff remark. He's been sounding this alarm over and over again on major platforms. We're talking summits, primetime TV interviews, even a massive 20,000-word essay, where he basically said that people building AI need to stop sugarcoating what's around the corner. So that brings us to the core of his prediction. The impact isn't going to be this loud, sudden economic crash. No, he describes it as a quiet, disappearing act, where those first couple of rungs on the career ladder, they just kind of vanished from the job market.
And here's the thing, the data is already starting to look exactly like his prediction. There's a key study from Stanford. They called it the Canaries paper, and it found a 13% drop in employment for young workers, 22 to 25, in jobs that are most exposed to generative AI. And that trend started all the way back in late 2022.
Amodei's own company, Anthropic, actually backed this up with their own research. Their paper found a 14% drop in the job-finding rate for that exact same young demographic in those AI-exposed roles. And get this, for workers over 25, totally flat, no change at all. And if you look at the data from Handshake, which is this huge platform for college students, you can see the competition just exploding. Between August 2022 and 2023, job postings fell 16%. At the same time, the number of people applying for each of those roles shot up 26%. So, yeah, way more people fighting for way fewer spots.
So, what's the real-world result of all this data? The unemployment rate for recent college grads is now the highest it's been in over a decade if you don't count the crazy shock of the pandemic. That quiet disappearing act, it's not coming. It's already here.
So, why is this happening now? Well, Amodei argues that we absolutely cannot compare AI to old inventions like the printing press or the internet. He says this revolution, it's just built different. Think about it. In the past, technology would hit these specific, narrow parts of the economy, which gave people years, sometimes even decades, to adapt. But Amodei says AI has cognitive breadth. It's not just automating one single task, like a machine replacing a weaver. No, it thinks across all fields, all at once. And it's not improving year over year, it's getting better month over month. That speed is just too fast for us to retrain and adjust. You've probably seen the headlines, right? Over 100,000 AI-related layoffs in 2023, another 30,000 just in early 2024, and from all the big names in tech. But what you're seeing there, that's just the tip of the spear, the most visible piece of this whole puzzle.
This is the AI iceberg. Research from MIT found that AI could, in theory, automate work that's equivalent to $1.2 trillion in wages. And those headline-grabbing layoffs we just mentioned, they only account for 2.2% of that total. The other 97.8%, that's the massive, hidden part of the iceberg. It's automation that's happening quietly, under the surface, in departments like HR, logistics, and office management.
Okay, but to be fair, not everyone is buying into this dramatic 5-year timeline. To really get the full picture, we have to look at the skeptical viewpoints and the counter-arguments from other major players in the industry.
For example, you've got Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind. He's way more cautious. While Amodei is talking about a crisis in the next 1 to 5 years, Hassabis puts the odds of getting human-level AI within a decade at just 50-50. That would give us all a lot more breathing room to adapt. And there's this new trend we all need to be aware of. It's called AI redundancy washing. Basically, it's when a company lays people off and blames it on AI and efficiency, when, in reality, the cuts are happening because of old-fashioned problems, like bad management or they just need to slash costs. AI just becomes a really convenient excuse. And there are legitimate questions about motives here. One analysis found that almost 60% of these so-called AI layoffs were really just companies cutting costs.
And critics also point out, hey, if the whole world is convinced that AI is this terrifyingly powerful thing, well, that creates a pretty huge market for Anthropic's own AI safety products, doesn't it? Plus, Anthropic's own research also shows AI helping people in their jobs, not just replacing them outright. But even with all that skepticism, some of the absolute biggest names in global finance are echoing Amodei's alarm bells. They're focusing on the very real human cost for an entire generation that's just trying to get started in the workforce.
Take Larry Fink. He's the CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the planet. He didn't mince words. He didn't call this a challenge or a transition. He looked at the situation and called it a crisis.
He argues that AI is completely disrupting a promise that's been at the core of our society since World War II. This idea that if you go to college and you get that degree, you're on a pretty clear path to a stable, white-collar career. He's saying that path is now seriously at risk. And this pessimistic view is being confirmed from the top down. 2/3 of executives at a recent Yale summit said they plan to either cut their workforce or freeze hiring this year. Over half of employers are rating the job market for the class of 2024 as poor or fair. And the IMF says this isn't just a US thing. AI is projected to affect 40% of jobs all around the world. So if the data is all pointing in one direction and the leaders of our economy are sounding the alarm, what can actually be done? Well, that leads to a pretty powerful metaphor for where we are right now. When you put all the pieces together, the early evidence lines up perfectly with Amodei's core prediction. It isn't a dramatic crash. It's a quiet disappearance of opportunity. It's fewer job postings, fewer first chances, and a career ladder that has its bottom rungs just sawed right off. And this is Amodei's own take on the solution. He says you can't fight this. You can't just stand in front of this technological freight train and expect it to stop for you. The only strategy that works is to get into the driver's seat and steer it, even if it's just by 10 degrees, to guide it toward a better destination. But that, of course, leaves us with the final and most urgent question. The train is already rolling down the tracks. The evidence of its impact is growing every single quarter. So, who is going to step up and take the controls before an entire generation